Hey guys, it's Hayes with CheatSheetPros.com. Today we're going to go over some NBA and MLB plays. I don't have my kids this weekend. They're with my ex-wife, so I've been posting plays in the chat all morning. If you saw one of my posts earlier today, one of the guys in the chat hit a plus, 165 to 1 same game, a little over that. So that was a nice hit by him. And he posted it in the chat for everybody to follow if they wanted to. And then I had posted some games that I went ahead and won. Baseball last year was by far my best sport, so I'm excited to kind of get back into it. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm just going to go through some different bets, plays, props. In the chat group and on the premium Facebook group, I've posted a whole bunch of tickets and cards and bankroll builders and whatnot. So when you open up we'll start with NBA. When you open up the NBA sheet, first thing I do, I go over to this DK props tab and I slide over here and make sure it's sorted by grade, high to low. And that's what's going to show up on that prop report. And when you see it, it looks like, let me see if I can get it pulled up here. It looks like this. So this is what I call a prop report. And what it is, it just shows the 4 main stats and the highest hit rate plays. And then we have a little custom grade over here. So anything over 100 in the green or over 95, I think is green. Yeah, it looks like there's a 97.7 and a 99. Those are ones you want to look into. Now, I'm not saying bet these are locks. Take a look at it. Maybe this player, like for example, Anunoby, I've been making a killing on him just taking his alt points prop, and he's usually got it by the mid-third quarter. But Jalen Brunson's probable to come back tonight, so that will take away from some of his scoring. So you have to keep in mind that there's some stuff like that you got to watch out for. So let me go ahead and slide these over here out of the way. So when we come over here, this is going to show you the highest props, graded props on the top, and you can see what they've done each of the last 7 games. So typically Jalen Brunson, we know he's been out, but when he's playing, he's good. OG has been fire lately, but like we said, Jalen's probably coming back tonight. He's probable as of now. And then you can kind of flip down here like Tim Hardaway points. He's went over in the last 4. If they went over their current prop, which is here, it's green, and if they went under or missed it, it is red. So you can just kind of get an idea visually. And then these are streaks over here, and if it's more than 5, it turns red and kind of highlights it, puts it up at the top. So let's say, for example, Gobert rebounds, it's 11.5, and he's got 18, 12, 25, 13, 16. So he's been killing it, but what I would look at, Minnesota playing Philadelphia is probably going to be a blowout. I think the spread on that is 16. I would look and see how he does in the blowout games. Jaren Jackson, 3-point shots made, 1.5. I love these. 3, 2, 3, 3, 5, 2, 3. So that's one you may take a look at. Trae Young assist, 11.5. I don't like 11.5. I usually try to get alt 10 plus. But 12, 15, 19, 12, 12, 12. He's been pretty consistent. Ja Morant's been fire. He's been over this in 4 of the last 5, but I kind of like his props a little bit better. But you can kind of flip through here and get an idea of some props that you like. The second thing I do is I come over here to the game log tab, and this is my favorite tab because before I started making this sheet 7 or 8 years ago, what I would do is I would go out and dig through all the game logs. So you had to type in the player, pull it up, and click all the stats. And I was like, I wanted to make something where you can just have everything right here. So for example, Tyler Hero, I can get everything I need right here in this box. I can see his last 7 games. I can see the score, home, away, who they played, dates. I can see his points. I can see his rebounds, assists, his PRA number, how many 3-point field goals he made, blocks and steals. We dabbled in that market last year. Minutes played is really good because if they miss, you can look, maybe they only played 12 minutes and got hurt or got ruled out of the game for some reason. And then we got our fantasy points for those fantasy players. And then I look at field goal attempts. I like taking points props on people that have a lot of field goal attempts. So here we've got 23, 18, 19, 17. So he's taking a lot of shots. So, that's someone you want to look at for a points prop. The DK props, when I run the sheet, they slide in here for these columns. And then this has the hit rate over recent games. So I focus on this column right here. When I scroll down this sheet, I'm looking for red and blue. So reds are going to be high overs and blues are going to be high unders. So for example, Giannis, it jumps out. His point prop is 29.5. and he's been over it 100% of the time. So you can see every one of these games he's gone over that. So maybe that's one that you do like. Now you see this little red over here. This is 7. That is the DVP for that particular stat, what the opponent is allowing. So for example, Miami's allowing the 7th least amount of points, and you can see that up here on defensive points allowed. So maybe you shy away from it in that case. So typically what I like to do is flip through all of these games. Since there's only 5, I'm going to go ahead and move through it pretty quick so we can also look at some MLB. So taking a look at here, like we already said, the Trae Young assist, that's red, 86% hit rate. You can see, he's averaging 14.5 over the last 7 games. He's killing that number. Jalen Brunson, no stats over the last 7, but he's probable to come back tonight. One guy that did jump out at me was Dyson Daniels. I don't think I have him in any of the bets I posted, but 6.5 rebounds. You can get an alt prop for 5+ or 6+ rebounds, and look at this: 6, 10, 9, 8, 8, 5, 11. That's one I would look at. That's pretty interesting. 14.5, that's kind of a hook. You can see he either goes over that, under that. There's a lot of variance, so I don't like that one as much. But seeing stuff like this is where I pick up. If you can get 3 alt lines, put them together and get plus money, that's usually a pretty good bet. And let's flip down here now. OG Anunoby, sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. He's someone that I've been riding with the Derek White assist and slapping them together. And I think, my 2 big hammer bets the last 2 days both hit, but Luka just squeaked in there and won, so they didn't kill it by any means. But OG, you can see here, he's got so much red. So like if Jalen does not play tonight, I will jump on him again. I've been taking his alt points at 18+ and 20+. And look, he's averaging 27.3 over the last 7 games. He's in a good matchup. Even his rebounds, he's sliding over 6, 5, 7, 2, 5, 5, 2, 4.5. Now he's not sliding it over by much, and his average is just under what the prop is, or just over what the prop is. So I don't love that. But if you're doing like PRA, it is one that you could consider. Also, he's been banging a ton of threes. So he's someone to keep an eye on if Brunson doesn't play. If Brunson does play, I still don't mind him because they dropped him down from like 21.5 to 18.5. And I still think his alt 18+ is good, but it's one you want to just kind of be careful of. Flipping down here to Philadelphia, Detroit, or Philadelphia, Minnesota. Like we said, this game's probably going to be a blowout. Now, what I posted in the chat earlier, and let me see if I can pull it up if I still got it in here. So bear with me 1 second. I had posted, so typically I'll drop some stuff in here. But what I found interesting was this sneaky play. I'll pull this over on the screen for you. So Anthony Edwards, well, I guess that's no different than having it over there. So let's just flip it back. Okay, so Anthony Edwards, he's been absolute fire, but look at these games that are the blowouts. So we had a blowout here. They won 134-93, and he only scored 17 points, played 26 minutes. So his minutes were down. They lost there. This was pretty, I guess you could consider it a blowout. 124-109, only played 28 minutes, scored 20 points. And then here was one, 123-104. I'd consider that a blowout. 25 points, but did play 35 minutes. So in these games that are blowouts, he's not scoring as many points. So I like going under his 27.5 and then taking Minnesota to cover the spread, or like a -9 first half or something with that. When you mix an over and an under on the same side, for some reason the algorithm just skyrockets the odds. So like, for example, if you did Minnesota -15, Anthony Edwards under 27.5 points, it's going to be like plus 500. So I like doing something like that when you can find these games where they're going under in these blowouts. So definitely one to consider. Now, with that, if the game is close, Edwards is going to play competitive, and he's probably going to go over his points prop. So if you lose one, it doesn't matter because they're mixed together. You're going to lose both. But if they blow it out and he doesn't play as many, gets a little bit of rest, he's going to go under. Minnesota covers. That's a huge payday there. Flipping down through here, Gobert is someone I did put on my alt props today. His rebounds are just steady Eddie. He's averaging 17 per game. He's projected at 13. He's got a prop of 11.5. That's one we want to consider. I also noticed his points prop, 12.5, has been pretty low. It bumped, I think it was 11.5 last game, but 21, 19, 19, 17, 16, 15. I mean, he's consistently getting that, and I think I did 10 plus alt for his points in one of mine that I had posted. I don't know this guy, but I just kind of noticed his rebounds, 5.5, and he's consistently at 5, so 6, 5, 8, 7, 7. So 5 plus, that would look pretty good for him. But anyways, this is just kind of how I swing through and kind of look at all the props. I'll hit these last 2 games and see if there's anything that jumps out at me. Ja Morant, he's another one. This game should be competitive. His PRA number was way too low. I think when he first came back, it was sitting right around like 30 to 34, and he put up 40, then 37, 45, and 38. But you can see these two, he's not really crushing the majority of the time, but his points prop, he's just absolutely, 66 points in the last 2 games combined. That's phenomenal. And look at these shots, 22, 22, 20, 23. He's going to take a ton of field goal attempts. So in a competitive game, I like guys like that for their points prop. 26.5 is a good number. I do like the over, but if you can get an alt at, 22, 24, even 25, I love that, and mixing that in with something else. I'm flipping down through here. Some of these points props aren't up. Oh, here's one I didn't notice earlier. So Tim Hardaway, look at these last 4 games. 32 points, 20, 23, 23, and his DK prop is 12.5. So that's one that's like, wow, that's definitely one I want to consider. I might even go back and add that one. And then you come over here, look at ED rebounds. Each of the last 3, that's been pretty good. Jalen Wells, we got anything there? So I thought his field goal, 3-point field goals made, you can get 1 plus, and he's got 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1. So that one looked kind of fun. And also in the chat this morning, I was dabbling on these exact props where you can pick the exact number. And Jalen Wells, 3-point made, you can pick, 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. I mean, he's 1 or 2 almost every game. So if you're doing 2 big parlays or a parlay that you like, take a little bit of money and maybe sprinkle a half a unit at 1 exactly or 2 exactly, and it'll skyrocket that, because I think it was like plus 300 or plus 350. And then flipping down here, Miami, Tyler Hero's the same as Ja Morant, scoring a ton of points, ton of field goal attempts, someone you want to take a look at. Game should be competitive, and I don't think I had anyone else in here that I liked. Miami's kind of tricky because they don't score a ton of points. Kawhi, I don't think he's playing tonight, but for some reason he had projections this morning because this line was only -8. The other thing that I noticed that I pointed out in the chat, so Dallas sucks. They're absolutely awful. But when Anthony Davis is on the floor, look how much better they play. So he missed this game. They lost 114 to 91. They got absolutely annihilated. He didn't play this game. They lost 128-113. They got annihilated. But look at these scores when he did play. 120 to 118, 113 to 109, 120 to 119, 101-92, and then they won this game by 19. So they're playing much better with AD on the floor. And then also, Dinwiddie assist is one that I've always been playing. And I missed a play yesterday that was I think it was a 6-legger. I had 5 legs down. Dinwiddie was playing. But what I failed to realize is when AD is not on the court, look what happens to his assist. So AD didn't play this game, and then his assist, he only had 4. AD missed this game, and he squeaked up. He did have 7 here. But look at these other games, 10, 8, 11, 12. He had 1-4, but these other games, 10, 8, 11, and 12. I mean, if AD plays, you could even bump this, up to 10 plus and take a huge plus money shot. Or I like doing alt lines, so I usually do 5 plus or 6 plus. But that's one to keep an eye on. And I did miss this one, but I failed to notice the correlation with Anthony Davis. So definitely one to consider. And if Kawhi doesn't play, depending on what the line is, maybe you take Dallas, you alt those plus points up, you take an AD PRA, he did really good. If you do take the AD PRA, you have to add the Dinwiddie assist, and you can kind of see how you start putting all these and correlating these plays together to get a big plus money. And I think this was our last game here. And then as far as the betting side, I go over here to the scoreboard, which I've got this shrunk down, and kind of take a look at what our model. I didn't bet any sides today. Yeah, that Dallas game is interesting, but for this, I'm just kind of doing props. I think Minnesota will roll, but of course, they've got a big line on it. And then if you want to play game leaders, you can go over here to the props tab and go points and just flip by each game, and you can kind of see what they've scored and like look at the teams lining up to see like this would be a good one for a points leader. If we think Anthony Edwards, who's going to be a huge favorite to be the leading scorer, if it's a blowout and he goes down, then maybe we can look at someone like Julius Randle or even Grimes to jump in there and get some plus money. Let me flip through here. But let's go over and take a look at some baseball now. So, baseball is one of my favorite sports to do. When you open up the baseball sheet, give it about 30 seconds depending on the speed of your computer. You'll see down here in the bottom it's running. So what it's doing, it's going out and it's updating any starting lineup. So if there's any players that jump in, the lineup, we're going to pick them up. And when we see it's done, save it. And each time you open it up, just save it. But you do have to download it every day. So one thing I do is I start off here. I love doing pitcher props on DK. So flipping down here, I've got all the information that I need. But I flip through here because I want to see what their last start looked like, how many hits they gave up. And I noticed yesterday one of the big things that I hit was combined pitcher prop hits allowed. And that was a lot of fun. And I altered a lot of them down to like 6, 7, and 8. And most of them were 13 and 14 combined hits allowed. So that was kind of fun looking at. Those were easy wins. But combined pitcher props allowed, I like this one, Arizona, Washington. They're doing really well, and these gave up a combined 10 last time. Three hits in 5 innings isn't great, but Washington's playing a little bit better. But 7 hits in 6.1 innings, that's a monster whip. Even the earned run stuff, you can see he's got a monster whip, so that tells me he's walking a lot of hitters. LAD, Philadelphia, they should combine for some hits. The Yankees is another one that I like, so... Bailey Falter, 6 innings, 7 hits, 2 runs. Not bad, but 7 hits in 6 innings. That's a little bit scary going up against this Yankees lineup. I also like the Yankees today. They were like minus 160 when I bet them this morning. They're 5-2 versus 2-6 of Pittsburgh. And I don't really care, who starts for the Yankees. I mean, Yankees and these torpedo bats, it's just ridiculous with Aaron Judge and Chisholm. Unreal. Flipping down here, Boston, St. Louis, that's another one I looked at. So they both combined for 10 hits in their last start. And I like that they threw a few innings. So if they give up a hit or two and get out of the inning, they'll keep going in the game. That's another one that I put on there, I think, on the bankroll builder. I'd stay away from this one. DeGrom only gave up 2 hits in 5 innings. I like a first 5 bet on Texas. You can lay a run or lay a half a run, get plus money. And I think it's minus... something decent for just first 5 for them to be up. Bradley hasn't been bad, but DeGrom's just elite, and starting off with a red-hot start, I like that. Toronto, so Bassett got shelled in his first one. He didn't give up a lot of runs, but 8 hits in 6 innings. He's going to give up some runs. That's not going to stick. His whip is way too high at 3, so if he's walking anyone, that's trouble. So I like those two combined, giving up some hits. And I also look at the power ranking over here for the teams. Cincinnati, Milwaukee. You can see Milwaukee's been absolutely terrible, but so is Cincinnati. But this Elvin Rodriguez, I'm not really sure who that is, but 6 hits, 4 runs, and 4 innings. And it was against Kansas City, who's struggling. That would worry me, but I went and looked at the Cincinnati lineup, and they are really not scary. Singer had a terrific start, 7 innings, 1 hit, no runs, 8 Ks, fantastic. And Singer's K-prop isn't bad. You see here it's 5.5. And then if we slide down here, you can see what the opponent team's strikeout rate is. So they have the 24th highest K percentage. So that may be one that we take a look at, is Singer like 5+ Ks or over 5.5. Miami, Atlanta. Both of these I took the combined pitcher or combined hits over. 4 innings, 8 hits, 4 innings, 6 hits. Yes, they played the Mets and the Padres, who are doing really well right now, but 14 combined hits and only 4 innings. Yeah, I'll go ahead and take a shot there. I mean, someone's got to put up some runs. Neither team's been doing great, but you can get 9+ at a decent price where you can use your boost, so that's not bad. Colorado game, I'm going to stay away from until it warms up out there. Cleveland, LAA. Don't really have a side there. But what do you call it? The bet board's the first thing that I look at. And then come over here to the pitchers tab. You'll notice here differences in power rankings. So here we have New York over Pittsburgh, and then San Francisco over Seattle, which San Francisco's one we went with last night. And if you're looking at K props, one thing I like to do is come over here and just sort by average strikeouts, high to low, and then compare it with this column over here, what the opponent team's strikeout percentage is. So what I like to see is these two guys that have 8 hits or 8 Ks in their last start, they have props of 5.5, so that means you can get 5 plus on an alt line. And look at the teams that are playing. 25.8% K rate, 23.9% K rate that ranks 17th and 24th. So those are pretty good spots. Now when we look at the teams, Brady Singer versus Milwaukee, and the opponent power ranking is in parentheses, so Milwaukee ranks 30th. So I would like Brady Singer's K props. Nola, I'm probably going to stay away from the Dodgers. They've got the third best. He could get in trouble, get knocked out of that game early. So just keep that in mind. And then you flip down here to like these two, Bradley and Bassett. 5.5. They each had 7 and 7, but these teams don't strike out that much. 18% and 18.6 is really low. No, I'm not saying they're not going to have 6 and go over their prop. I'm just saying if you have an option between like Singer and Bradley, I'm going to look at this and be like, hey, Singer has a better matchup and he's facing a weaker team. That's probably who I'm going to go with. And then, of course, we have DeGrom, which, it really doesn't matter what the opponent K rate is. He's elite, but 7.5 is a pretty big number, so that's one that I would probably stay away from. And then you just work your way down. Now, if you're doing hits allowed props or earned run props, you just slide over here, and we've got our hits allowed and our earned run section, and kind of do the same thing. See what they've been doing in their recent starts, where they're at, what the prop is. Pitching outs is another one that I like to do. Sometimes you can catch a bad line if you get like a guy that's going 6 innings, that's 18 pitching outs, and they'll have him at 17.5. Well, that's perfect. I like to take those. So here we can see the pitchers with the longest pitching outs in their last start, who got shelled, and then you can go take a look at those lines. DK has one to record a win, so we drop this section in here to see who recorded a win. If you do this, you want to have a team that has a better starting pitcher and then a better power ranking, and make sure the bullpen does not suck. I can't tell you how many people I saw, they would post a bet. They would have, like, for example, Jacob deGrom versus someone else and be like, record a win, but maybe the bullpen behind that really good pitcher ranks 30th and has an ERA near 7. They would blow the game and they wouldn't get the win. So in a case like that, I would lean more first 5 to be leading, minus a half a run or minus 1.5. And then if you dabble in any of these other walks allowed, home runs allowed, we have them in there. And then someone last year requested the breakdown of pitcher stats versus righties and lefties, so I went ahead and pulled it over here for you. So this will give you a lot of the props. When we come over here to the main tab, this is another one that we can go take a look at. So like New York is a game that I bet today, and I did some wild stuff with it. And they are playing Pitt. So I come in here and take a look at this. So Pittsburgh, I'm 2-6, averaging 2.2 runs per game. That's not very good. And then the Yankees, everybody knows who the Yankees are. Number 1 power ranking, 5-2. They have the 3rd highest batting average. They're number 1 in WRC plus, home runs, RBIs, and ISO. So they're going to score some runs. So I look at this and say, either bet the Yankees or take the Yankees team total. And I mean, you can get anything from 1.5, 2.5. I think I have a bet of 6.5, 5.5, or 6.5 team total, and then faltered to give up 5 or 6 hits, and it was like plus. I think the 6.5 and plus, or 6 plus hits was like plus 280 or plus 250. Something just wild. Which, can they score 6, 7 runs? Let's see. They have 9, 9, 3, 5, 12, 20, and 4. Yeah, I'd say they can probably do that. Plus, looking at this bullpen, it ranks 22nd, 0-3, ERA near 4, but the xFIP of 4.5 means they've been pretty lucky. But this whip of 158 is really bad. And then these walks per 9 from the bullpen, 6, is just astronomical. So even if the pitcher Falter, who struggled, gave up 7 hits in 6 innings, has a good outing, and let's say he goes 5 innings or 6 innings, then the Yankees get to feast on this bullpen. So that's one of the reasons I like them. And then you come over here, and even if we're not playing DFS, we can see all this red. So red is a X value for DFS, so you can see who's been doing really well. So right here, this is probably Judge. Yeah, Aaron Judge. And then the last 14-day stats, if you're doing hitters props over here, look at this. He's 11 of 29, has 11 hits, 12 runs, 6 bombs, 17 ribbies, 2 stolen bases, and then he's hitting 379. And what I like this, look at this, versus the opponent pitcher hand, he's got a 625 average, 0% strikeout rate, and then a WOBA over 1,000 and an ISO over 1,000. Now, this is limited stats. There's not a ton, but those are astronomical numbers. So Judge, it should be phenomenal today. Jazz, he's been doing really well. Not quite Judge, but he's been doing pretty good. So I look at this, and if I'm playing DFS, I probably want the 3, 4, 5 hitters. And you can even come here and see what their price is. So, of course, Judge and Jazz, they're going to be pretty expensive. But then you can add some of these lower guys and see who's been doing well. Now, Pablo Reyes, we're probably going to fade him. He's 0 for 6, so he gets this little cold tag. But maybe you go down here and take Trent Grisham, who at 2,600, who's batting 462, 6 of 13. So I'd say let's put him in a lineup. We're going to skip Reyes, and then we're going to take the big 3. And then, maybe you add Goldschmidt. Goldschmidt's only 4,600. He's doing a little bit better than Bellinger, and Bellinger's $800 more. So that's kind of how I would build my lineup. Traditionally in fantasy, most people take 1 through 4, 1 through 5, 2 through 5, 2 through 6. I mean, they're very basic. So if you want to win a GPP and you have a chalk team like the Yankees, you want to mix it up. So like take the 3 core, and so maybe you go 1, 3, 4, 5, 9. So your stack's going to be where you're going to get the difference is if these 9-1 hitters correlate each other, and then you've got the 3, 4, 5 rocks. Someone who has Cody Bellinger or squeezes in just the cheapest guy in the lineup to get Judge, who's 0 for 6, you're going to have an edge on them. So just a tip there. But we do like the Yankees flipping down. Oh, there's so many games. I think there's 14 games. So you could sit here and go through this all together. But yeah, you can get an idea like how the team's doing, what they're batting. So like right here, Toronto hadn't done much. Peter Alonso hitting 292, 10 RBIs. He's someone I would want to take a look at for hits, runs, RBIs. But yeah, basically, those are kind of the plays that I'm doing. I posted a whole bunch of them in the chat today. Flip down through here. As pitchers start getting their second, their third, their fourth start, all these stats will start filling in and becoming more consistent. But just some quick tips. Look at the team's power rankings up here and look at the bullpens behind them. For example, this would be good. Padres, number 2 power ranking, number 3 bullpen. That's good. Now, everybody loves the Cubs. Number 5 power ranking, they're good, but that bullpen's 24th. Now, not a lot of stats, so take it with a grain of salt, but this could be one where you live bet if, let's say, San Diego gets up 1 run, 2 run, and all of a sudden you can get plus 1,000 on the Cubs, flip that around. You want to take the better bullpen. And then, just kind of flip down and, take a look at some plays. If there's a big difference, we'll have a power play in here. Let me put in some of the plays that I had posted. If you've watched this much of the video, hell, you deserve the plays at this point. So my big shot that I did, let me blow this up for you. I'll go ahead and give you these plays I threw in the chat. Let me see if I can blow this up pretty big on here. So this one, we're going to blow it up a little bit. This is a dart. It's 19.5 to 1. So I did no run first inning for Cubs, Rangers, Astros first 5. A lot of people didn't like that, but I could get plus 105. You can get plus 130 if you want to lay half a run. Dodgers, Phillies, both teams to score 2+ runs. Yankees 160, that's too cheap. I went ahead and took the Florida-Auburn game, both teams to score over 69. John Morant 18+, Tyler Hero 18+. Those are huge odds, but once you have this many legs, even adding this cranks it up. So that one pays, 19.5 to 1. And then coming down, my bankroll builder that I went with is this one. And so I like these just to kind of build some money, so you can throw a couple of units on it. My favorite are these bottom 3 plays here. So if you want to do something plus money, that would be Bailey Ober, 3 hits, Mitchell Parker, 4 hits, and then Yankees over 2.5 runs. That's probably going to get you like a minus 200 if you're doing any type of a ladder challenge. And then over here, I added the Fitz and Palente, 9+ combined hits, Canning Bassett, 9+ combined hits, and then AJ and Cal, 8+ hits. But this thing pays 280, so if it loses, no big deal. But I mean, if you get through a couple of these early games, I really like that one, and you're getting almost 3-1 on it, so that's not too bad. A couple shots I took today. Let me blow this one up for you. So this one pays plus 565. And this is kind of the dart I took. So I took the Yankees to score 7 runs and then falter for 5+ hits. Now, the Yankees to score 7 runs was like plus 140. Now, they're almost guaranteed to score 7 runs if they get 5 hits, from him, which they'll probably get more than that. But that cranked it up to plus 182, so that was almost free money for me. And then I wanted to take a shot here, and so I was talking about doing like Minnesota minus 15 or minus 16 with Edwards under 27.5, which you can see it's already dropped to 26.5 on DK. And it was like plus 250 and made this astronomical, but I chickened out and I went ahead and I just took under 26.5, and I took Wolves 2.5 first half and got it to plus money and then slapped it in there. But it's going to pay me plus 565, so I don't mind that. I just threw $10 on it. What was the next one that I did? Flipping back through here, this one pays plus 766. Let's take a look. I don't even remember this one. So this one, we did Yankees money line. We did Rangers first 5 innings. They got DeGrom on the mound. That shouldn't be too bad. And then I went ahead and took 10+ hits in this Cardinals game. And then, Parker, 5+ hits. And I took this 9.5 total, took it down to 7.5, mixed them together. But plus 766, I like those odds. That was pretty solid. Let me see if I got anything else in here. Oh, I had one more that I want to show you. This isn't a DraftKings book. It's a private book that some of my friends and I use. And so I tried to just put some wild stuff in there. So this one I did Trey Young, 10+ assists, Ober, 5 hits allowed, Gobert, we talked about him, 11+ points, and Jalen Duren, double-double. And that one pays plus 482. And then I think this is the same. And then I added, this is new, Bassett, 4+ hits. And then Elvin Rodriguez, 3+ hits. I didn't want to have 3 pitcher hits allowed props in my big one. So I went ahead and ran it again and then added Bassett, Elvin, and got it up to plus 837. So essentially this is the same play. And then if this first one hits and I hit the plus 482, I've got another unit on it with just these 2 games, Bassett and Elvin. So just taking some swings, taking some shots. It's early in the season, but this is what I've got for today, guys. So good luck. And if you're not a member, it's like 50 cents a day. It's freaking cheap. So $16 a month, 45 for 3 months. I mean, you can make that back in 1 day. So it's very valuable just being in the chat. So give us a chance. You can sign up on the website, join the Facebook premium group. We also do have a free group that we post the sheets on Thursdays. So good luck and have a good weekend.